If you're watching this, then you must want to learn how to edit and produce high quality videos like the ones on my channel. In fact, by far, the most common request I get is to show you guys how to edit my videos. So finally, in this video, I will walk you through the exact method I use so you can start putting Netflix to shame. The first part of this video will cover the actual strategy that I use for editing videos, and later on in the video, I'll even be giving away the exact steps on how you can make this custom graphic. I've noticed that most YouTubers aren't willing to share this stuff with their audiences, but I really want this channel to be different, so I'm gonna give it all to you for free. I'm gonna assume that you already have a script and voiceover, but the voiceover is really where our editing process starts. We need to cut our voice to make it as punchy as possible. If you think that I talk this fast and this clearly in real life, then you'd probably be shocked by how much time I spend editing my voiceovers to cut out mess ups and stuttering.
I said get this man a glass of water.
Since people in 2023 have the attention span of a squirrel, I also trim out the dead spots between sentences so that the viewer doesn't get bored. Once we have our voiceover trimmed, then we can move on to the video editing. There are two types of footage that every editor uses: A-roll footage and B-roll footage. A-roll is where you would be talking directly to the camera like I am now. And B-roll is when we overlay relevant footage that goes along with what we're talking about. Back when YouTube first came out, you could get away with using a lot of A-roll footage, but that really doesn't work anymore. People's attention spans have been cut in half over the last couple years with the rise of TikTok, Snapchat, and Instagram Reels. So now you need to be changing the footage on screen every 2 to 7 seconds. The types of B-roll footage that you use kind of depend on your niche, but I'll give you a few examples. Cinematic footage, stock footage, custom motion graphics, and even screen recordings are all good examples of B-roll footage. So if you were talking about working out, then you could have relevant stock footage playing of someone exercising while you talk about it. The best free tools that I've found for editing stock footage are Pexels and Pixabay. As you might have noticed in my videos, I usually aim to have a ratio of about 1 minute of A-roll footage for every 10 minutes of B-roll footage. Moving on, now we need to talk about one of the most important sections of the video, and that is the hook. The hook is by far the most critical part of your video because this is where the viewer will decide whether or not they're going to stick around and watch the rest of the video. Scripting is obviously important, but so is your editing here. In fact, if you notice, myself and my team specifically spend far more time editing the first 30 seconds of a video than we spend editing the last 30 seconds of a video. The first 30 seconds should be a visual orgasm that totally overwhelms the viewers to really draw them in and captivate them for the rest of the video. So if you are going to invest time into making custom motion graphics, this is where I would use them. Next, we need to build out the rest of our video. When I'm going through my video, I want to be thinking about how to visually express what I'm talking about in the most engaging way possible. This requires a little bit of a creative touch, but a basic example of this would be how when I talk about viral videos, I usually include some sort of a motion graphic illustrating view counts going up and viral. You also want to use video editing as a tool to really express your personality so you can attract the right audience. If you know that your audience is mostly male and you're talking about fitness, then you could be showing B-roll footage of someone like David Goggins, Liver King, or Conor McGregor. And just as a side note, I've noticed that people really seem to like self-depreciating humor. So even if you don't have a great sense of humor,
Sanchez, we ready?
people always like seeing you poke fun at yourself, and that can really add some value to your videos. Another thing that you've probably noticed about my channel is that I use a lot of custom motion graphics, and I do that to try to separate myself from other channels in terms of quality. I know that these motion graphics increase the production value of my videos and really boost my chance of going viral when I use them. So even though it can take a long time to put some of these together, I promise it's worth it. You can make them yourself, you can pay someone to create them for you, or you can purchase templates made by other creators. If these are something you specifically want me to walk through in future videos, make sure to let me know below. This midsection of your video doesn't need to be as engaging as the first 30 seconds, but it also shouldn't be noticeably worse, if that makes sense. Another way to make your video more engaging is using transitions. Transitions have the power to take a C+ video to an A- video when they're used correctly. And this has been true forever in all sorts of niches. I'm sure a lot of you remember when those Jay Alvarez Lopez travel videos first came out and went crazy viral. A huge reason for that was how he used transitions to go along with the music. I like to use transitions to help guide the viewer from one scene to the next. It gives them a chance to process what they just saw rather than visually dumping everything with them all at once. And speaking of guiding the viewer, one of the most important metrics on YouTube is average view duration. And this next tip is going to help boost your view to like ratio, your view to comment ratio, and your view to subscriber ratio, which I cover a lot deeper in my new YouTube mentorship program. Basically, the longer that you can get someone to watch your video, the better your video will end up performing. An easy way to improve this metric with minimal effort is just by adding captions. Captions have become a huge thing since TikTok, and all the big creators that you see all over the internet are using them for a reason. Now, you can do this manually in your own video editor of choice, but if you want to add dynamic captions like these, go to CapCut and import your video. Now hit text, then auto captions and enable dynamic captions. But if you want to level them up even more, then go ahead and choose any font and any animation. Lastly, just make your captions the size you want and you're ready to go. I should mention that captions aren't necessary throughout the entire video, but I really like using them in the hook and whenever my video might feel like it's getting a little boring to help re-engage the viewer. See what I did there? Next, we need to talk about one of my favorite parts of the editing process, which is sound design. Based on my experience working with different editors, this is an art form that they either have in their bag or they just don't. But in my opinion, it's a very important ingredient that really enhances the viewing experience when it's done right. So what do I mean by sound design? Well, let's say that I'm telling a story about how important sound effects are. And now here's the same clip without any sound effects. Pretty noticeable difference, right? You can usually find pretty cool sound effects just by searching for a sound on YouTube, but sites like Artlist and Epidemic Sound also have them as well. Speaking of sound, background music really changes the mood of your video. Using a dramatic song versus an upbeat, happy song drastically influences how the viewer is going to feel while they're watching your content. Unfortunately, if your goal is to get monetized on YouTube, then you can't just use any song that you want. As much as I wish that I could be bumping Drizzy behind my voice, you're going to need to use copyright-free music. And I actually learned this the hard way. Even if you find a song on YouTube that claims that it's copyright free, that creator still has the power to flag your video later on. So the safest way to find good background music is by using a website like Artlist, Epidemic Sound, or Upbeat. You'll be able to find songs that fit the vibe that you're looking for, and more importantly, you'll have a license that allows you to use that music forever. So that's the overall editing strategy. But if you're planning to actually grow on YouTube, I'm gonna tell you something that most YouTubers don't want to share with you. You really can't be spending all your time in the trenches editing like this. It's all right at first, but long term, it's not sustainable. What you need to do is eventually find an editor who has the skills to do this for you. Otherwise, there's no way that I'd be able to pump out videos like this every week. You can either pay an editor up front or even partner with them if you find a win-win situation. So next, for those of you who are curious about how we made this custom graphic, I put together a detailed step-by-step document that shows you the entire process. All you need to do is enter your email in the link in my description and drop a comment below the video. Then I'll send it to you directly within 2 minutes for free. And just to be even more upfront so I don't waste your time, this process uses Midjourney and Adobe Premiere, so you're gonna need to have access to those tools. Look guys, if you wanna win on YouTube, then this is the video editing strategy that you're gonna need to start using. Especially in the last 6 months with the rise of all these crazy AI tools, you're gonna get left in the dust if you don't continue to enhance your skills. I see so many people who are somehow satisfied with being average, but the creators who really hit that next level are the ones who push the limits. I kind of put off making this video for a long time, but I want to be as transparent with you guys as possible. So if you found this helpful and want to see more on this topic in the future, please let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching and talk soon.